Welcome to Games Beyond the Board. It's a segment where we talk about games that are language independent or have very little language dependence. I've always been fascinated about Asia, Middle East, and I've been many times to the Hindu continent. So needless to say, I was very excited when Hutch decided to release Rajas of the Ganges, which is a game published by R&R Game and Hutch, and it's for 2 to 4 players and have a very unique scoring mechanic to win the game, which I really enjoyed. So the outside of the board has 2 different tracks. The money track, which runs counterclockwise, and then the fame track, the yellow track, that runs clockwise. In order to win the game, both your money and your fame has to overlap each other or meet each other. Once the 2 tokens get to meet or surpass each other, you trigger the end round of the game. Now, in case of 2 players get to accomplish that, whoever is further apart wins the game. Although you have a money track on the board, your main resource are dice. At first glance at the board, it seems very busy and seems there's a lot of going on in there. And it does, but in a good way. It's not overwhelming as it looks. Everything is well separated, and each area is quite easy to get familiar after a couple rounds. As I said, on the bottom of the board is where you acquire dice. You put a worker here to get an orange dice, or you put a die here to get 2 different colors. In this case, I'll put a blue to get 2 orange dice. At the top of the board, you have your karma. And what it does, you can pay 1 karma in order to flip your dice to the opposite direction. So 4 to a 3, or a 3 to a 4, and so forth. And the more karma you have, the more times you can take these actions. On the opposite side, you have the building area, where during the game you'll be able to upgrade your building so you can score more points at your market. At the quarry is where you're going to acquire tiles. So you place your worker on one of the spots here, and then pay the amount of money that is shown there. So I would pay 1 money. And then I use my dice to buy tiles. So I'll put this over here and take the 6th tile, and then we'll place on my board. When I visit the market, I generate income from that market. So I can put a worker over here and generate an income from 3 different markets. If you have more than one of that market, you just choose the highest one, and then you take 1 from each one, whatever income that specific market will give you. The top area of the market, you would place your worker there, and then you would have to give up one of your die. Let's say I would give up my 6th die, and then I would generate income for that specific market multiplied by the die that I gave up. So at the harbor, you would place your worker in there and give a 1, 2, or 3 die and take the amount of movement that's showing on each one of those spots. The first one is free, but if I had another player in there, I would just have to pay 1 money, pay the die, and then move my boat. When you visit the palace, you can take different actions by giving gifts to the noble, which will be represented by a different number of die. So if I do a die number 1 here, I'll take the first player token and will move my track 2 on the fame track. You also get a bonus on the money track when you stand or pass the 12 mark on the money track. So the first bonus is going to be the river bonus, so you get to move 1 space on the river track. Then you flip it over, and on the next time you pass the 33, you get 2 dice, and then you flip it over, and so forth. Rajas of the Ganges is a really fun game. It's probably one of the best work placements I've played since last year. It proves that you don't need to have a light game to be language independent. You can have a nice complex with a lot of rules and still be very language independent. And that's it for me today. I hope to see you guys next time on Beyond the Board.